All right, we're ready? What? Oh, you can see this? So it looks like I have a sponsorship from from Under Armour. Yeah, you know, because I'm so... Connectors, what's up? DK here. Hope you're having a great evening. Again, we're in the greatest month of the year, so get hyped. September is here. By the way, September 13th. So what's on my mind today? Well, I got a couple of emails asking me to talk about this thing that's happening in the nonprofit sector called the overhead myth. Sounds a little bit like a mystery, right? Like Scooby-Doo mystery. The number represented in overhead in a nonprofit's budget is sometimes used as the test to see if an organization is worthy or good or strong. It seems a little weird to me that we're talking about overhead as a problem. Hear me out for a second. If you're a nonprofit organization and 90% of your budget is overhead, paying a salary, and you're not doing any programmatic work, I see where there's a problem. I get it. I totally understand that. But I don't mean those kind of things. I don't mean that kind of obvious thing. What I mean by the overhead myth is when we talk about overhead as a bad thing. And why is overhead a bad thing? Well, first off, I'm a non-profiteer. And so when I'm represented in a budget, most often I'm represented as overhead. And most people are as well in their organizations. So when we talk overhead, we're talking people. And last time I checked, we're in the people business. No matter what part of the sector you represent, you and your staff are the number one asset of an organization. Do you know how I know that? Well, just think about it. If you run a homeless shelter and you have so many programs and job placements and life skill training and all these things surrounding it to try to get men and women off the streets and into jobs and homes, who are running those things? People. You need great people. You need people who understand a mission, can tie in and align to the values of an organization, speak with a strong voice representing that group. But mostly, you need people that are good skills, good people. That should cost. And again, when I say cost something, I don't mean break the bank here. We're nonprofits, for God's sakes. We've kind of walked into a sector, not known for big money. We put the non in nonprofit. But really, let's really think about this for a second. Our organizations thrive on the nonprofit leaders. They get up every single day and go to work at a nonprofit organization. And they do it for smaller monies. And what do they do it for? Well, love of cause. They feel good about the work that they do. They feel impacted by the people and the places and spaces that they're representing. And they probably feel like that thing that goes off. I say that tuning fork all the time. When you get that feeling of satisfaction for the work, it's not like just moving widgets. It's not selling something. It's not just sitting in a cubicle kingdom waiting to see when lunch is going to happen. There's a good feeling that comes from working in the nonprofit sector. But baby's still got to pay bills. Again, I'm not suggesting here that everybody needs a six-figure salary and a Lamborghini. But for some of us, strike that. Let me just speak for me. I'm not in this sector for that reason. I'm not interested in that stuff. I want to get by. I want to take care of my family. I want to support local, which means I want to go out and support other organizations and small businesses, things that make my community hum. I want to do those things and be comfortable with it. The overhead myth hurts this because it evaluates a nonprofit not on impact, but on dollar figures, on a budget. And if we think too much about budget, if we worry about that being the test of value, here's what's going to happen. People with the best accounting wins. If you have good accountants, you can have a great organization. The proof is in the pudding. Your programmatic work. That's what's going to determine your strength as an organization. And it should. So next time you hear a donor or a potential donor, a friend of yours, a colleague, talk about how they donate and how they say things like, well, if an organization has over, and they make up a percentage as if there's some sort of number that's the golden goose. If they're over some X percent in overhead in their budget, then they just can't be good. I would ask the following thing to your friend. Do you know what kind of impact they do? What they actually do tangibly impact-wise in our community? Because I bet the answer to that is not really sure. Because most people who look at this overhead situation and really look at overhead as the number really stop their investigation right there. Look, we have wonderful organizations like Charity Navigator and others that are really paying attention to this and give some good investigations into organizations that need it. I think it's much more complicated than that, and because our sector is being defined by this one test, this one litmus test to move it forward, I think it's doing it a disservice. There are a lot of great nonprofits out there, and their number one asset is the people that they can hire. So you bring in great people, you get great results. So guys, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the overhead myth, and do you think it is a thing? Do you think overhead matters to you? How important is it in your donations? If you're a nonprofiteer, what are your thoughts on the overhead? And what are your thoughts on what you do when you plan for your budget with your board? Do you guys talk about the overhead myth, and how do you answer that question of, looks like your overhead is a high percentage? Let me know in comments below. And guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. My name is DK. I'm with the Connect the Dots Movement. If you like us here, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter, and make sure you give us good feedback. And if you have a question, shoot me an email and I will get back to you with an answer. Hopefully, a right answer. I'll get back to you. Tasty. So thanks for hanging out with me, you beautiful bastards. My name is DK. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you hanging out with me, and you've just been connected. I'll see you around.